welcome. Glad to be back again. Look at me with consistent videos. Let's see how long we keep this going. Today I'm actually on here not to share any real new products, but actually to share my new brow routine. Now I know, remember back in the day, like 2016, 2017, those used to be really big. Everybody wanted to know. Well, I used to really enjoy those videos. And now that like brows have evolved, they've changed, there are new ways to do them, and I found a way that actually works for my recently shaped and laminated brows. It's very simple. You really only need 3 products, and I always say this. Start with, I buy these disposable spoolies, usually just to brush through my brows before I add product. And then one of my favorite pencils, depending on what I'm going with. Usually if I'm going for a look where I'm not wearing any makeup, I will always go with the Precisely My Brow from Benefit. This has been in my brow routine before I got my eyebrows laminated. I use it all the time. It's great. I use the color 5, which is I wouldn't call it, it's like a dark brown, I think I would say, but it's quite, it gives those hair-like strokes, so I really like it, and it's not too dark. So if I'm not wearing makeup, I want it to look more natural. This is what I use, and the Anastasia Brow Freeze Brow Gel, chef's kiss. So first things first, we're just gonna start by looking in the bigger mirror here, just by brushing up my brows. And even that already, you can start to see how that has already improved the look of them. And ever since getting my brows like professionally laminated, I now have a true brow lady that was recommended to me. She's actually in Queens. I will put her Instagram handle in the description, so if you guys are in New York, in the city, you don't mind traveling like myself, then she is really, really good, and she will get your brows done, laid. Okay, so the first thing I do is I make sure I brush up the brows so that they're nice and in the shape that I want. I like the front of my brow to kind of go straight up first, and then the rest kind of have like a slight arch. I'm more into a straighter brow. I think it just fits my face better, but this is what I've been using. So most people would go in with this lamination gel by Anastasia as like the last step, but I actually go in with this with my first step. So what I do is I start by first using the flat side of the brush and then just pushing the hairs where I need them to go and spreading that product. Now, even when I'm doing my makeup, I will always do this step first, because I feel like if you do it afterwards, it was just gonna mess up your makeup. You won't really get it to where you want. And it's actually not that hard to put on your makeup once your brows are done, especially with this method, because this basically cements your eyebrow in a good way though, and keeps that shape and will stop it from moving. So this is like the first thing that we'll add to it, and then I'll go back in with my little spoolie and kind of brush shape them. I like a bushy brow. I'm still in my bushy brow phase. You will never get me to go back to the 90s brow. Took me a while to get here, but you can already see like the shape. They like lay flat and it will hold it there. Now, while that's going on, drying, I'm gonna go to the second brow and just do the same thing. So we already brushed these up to have that shape that we want. If you guys already arch your brows, then, whatever shape you want. But this, regardless of whatever brow shape you have, this is definitely gonna work for you. Then we go in again by simply just using the lamination side. And the reason why it's easier for me is because my brows are already laminated, using that flat side actually works for me. And then at the very top, just to give it a little shape, I'll go across it with like the smaller teeth side of it. Okay, so usually by the time I get to this part, my other brow is basically dry. But let's just finish up this one quickly. All right. And just on the tops, because I don't like it to look too rounded, while it's still wet, you can kind of manipulate the brow hairs to where you want them to be. All right, so that is it for us. Perfect. Now the next thing that I do is I go in with my brow pencil, and this is my technique. It always works for me. I love it. I go in at the bottom and I do trace out my bottom, but very lightly. I kind of thicken out the ends right here, and then right where that base is, I also do this. Now this is I only do at the tail end. That's kind of like to give that point. And then I simply fill in where I think I can use like more density in my brow. Usually that's like somewhere in the middle, closer to the ends. And when I do that, it kind of fills it in a very soft, natural way. Now the best way I always tell people in using, if you don't want like those harsh, like angry brows, always hold it like towards the end and then kind of just like flick it up. And also try not to go with a brow pencil that's too dark, because then it like takes away from the natural look of the brow. I'm just going a little bit more here so you can add some more depth. And I do go in slightly in front of the brow, but as you can notice, I'm using like very short, applying little pressure and kind of finessing that bottom. So that right now you can even see, look at the difference between this brow and that brow. And even if I get up close, it looks pretty natural. Now, after I'm done with that, I'll just go in and do the same thing to this side. You'll see why I do that. I try and get them, I am still team brows are sisters, not twins. So I don't try and make it exactly the same. Now this brow is the one that I like to call my struggle brow. So again, holding the pencil closer towards the end so that there's like light pressure. I get that part in, and then I'll just go ahead and get that in. And any place where my brows are sparse, I will just use light strokes and fill them in. Again, going slightly in front of my brow, but not too much. And adding small light strokes to the areas that need more density. Then I'll go back and I'll look at the brows. This one always gets a little thicker because it's just thicker naturally. But for the most part, they'll stay pretty even. I like to match the density. For some reason, I always have the front of this brow denser than the first brow I do, so I try and match those. And what I like about the Anastasia Brow Freeze Gel is that, okay, so I used to use the Patrick Ta gel, which used to really laminate the brows. But the thing about it was that it was very hard to like use a pencil to draw over to get those brow hairs. For me, that's really important because I like to kind of like set my brow and then see where I need to fill in. This way I'm not using too much product. So that's like my philosophy with how I fill in my brows. All right, so wow, brows really do take a long time. I mean, we're like 10 minutes into this video, and possibly if I wasn't talking, it would take less time, but brows really do take some time. Now, when I come to this step, and I think that I pretty much got them pretty even, I always use the spoolie that comes with the brush, with the pencil, I mean, because that spoolie tends to be a bit more firm than those disposable ones. So what it does is it helps to distribute the product evenly, and it also creates in those ways like those little tiny spaces so that the strokes that you created with the pencils start to look really like hair strokes. You'll see what I mean when I get closer. You get closer, you can see it looks more like hair strokes as opposed to just pencil lines. So that's what I like about it. I don't brush too hard, again, holding it towards the end of the pencil and kind of just flicking it up. And then there you have it. So, because I'm not wearing makeup today, because who does that in 90-degree New York heat? I mean, if you do, that's your thing, but I'm not doing it. So this is how my brows look. And then usually right after that, I will go in, because I'm not wearing any makeup. I will, however, put on some mascara because I need to not look like a naked mole rat. So the first thing I do, of course, is I will curl my lashes. I can't even tell you how long I've had this Tarte lash curler. Really, really has held up. It's been years. I'm telling you, I've used other ones, but I always come back to this one for some reason. It's just a really good lash curler. So here we go. And I'm going to be using yet another Benefit product, and that is my current favorite mascara, and that is the FanFest. I do like it. I like the way that the brush is curved on this, and it just gives you like great volume. You'll see what I mean. So I'm gonna go in first with my first coat. Making sure I get every single lash. And I like it because it's not so much a lengthening mascara as it is a volumizing, and I want to say like a lifting mascara. So it'll give you that whole illusion of longer lashes because it does in fact lift and hold, and it doesn't flake throughout the day. So we love that. Not sure what this angle is doing for you guys, but usually I'd actually get in a little closer. So now that we've coated all the lashes, you can kind of see the difference, can't you? I mean, I know I can. This eye looks naked. So that's the first coat. I usually wait for that to dry. I am gonna go in with a second coat, but in the meantime, we're just gonna go into the other lash. So let's get some of this going here. When I say favorite mascara, I actually should say like my favorite higher end mascara, because I do have some drugstore favorites, but if you want one that you can get at like Sephora, I would highly recommend FanFest from Benefit. Benefit's like low-key been in the brown lash game for like, they've been at the top, I would say, for like the past 2 decades. Definitely ever since, remember when everybody was going crazy for their real mascara? Spiky, hard, never came off, but so good during the time. And then they came out with Roller Lash, and then they had Bad Girl Bang. There was a mascara before that. Either way, they've been doing their things with mascara. So next up, we're just gonna go in with a second coat. And this to me kind of is like where it kind of lengthens because it has something to grow, to like grip onto now. And it also just makes it look like I have a million lashes, as opposed to the 5 that I started out with. So here we go. There it is. And I'm gonna go in again on this side. And this mascara is good because it does kind of clump your lashes together, but in the best way so that they don't look like as spidery. Because I'm not a big fan of spidery lashes. All right, so I may have gone into with 2.5 coats, but I really do like this. And then this is basically it. My brows, it just really like changes how everything looks. And then I'm ready to go in this heat. So there you have it. Here's my brow routine, if people still do that. And until next time, which should be very soon, I will see you guys later. Bye.